2019 Hyundai Veloster car review. The good points of 2019 Hyundai Veloster. Good thrust from turbo engine, great shifter, unflappable chassis. The bad points of 2019 Hyundai Veloster. Could utilize a limited slip differential, lackluster noise from either engine, limited rear visibility. Hyundai is often a couple generations into general competence and some time ago became proof against cheap shots like Hyundais are great for Korean cars. More recently, the automaker has exploded ambitious about creating its mainstream models more inviting to drive. Recently, sizzle has trickled into models as unpretentious since the price letter accent sedan along with the Kona crossover. Snap, crackle, and pop happen to be less discriminatingly meted in the market to the Veloster. Mechanically just like the Elantra GT hatchback, the Veloster features a squat, tapered body with pumped-out rear fenders and also a commodious, if tight gain access to, 20 cubic foot cargo hold. Despite the fact that the redesign sports a faster roofline, Hyundai found more rear headroom, but not reduced blind spots or additional visibility to your rear, by moving the hatch hinges rearward. Materially, the interior is usually a huge improvement within the old Velosters. Hard plastic still abounds, nonetheless it's grained nicely and is also impeccably assembled. Simple and clear whiting black gauges and Hyundai's ubiquitous touchscreen infotainment system blend into the straightforward, restrained cabin design. Each with the 5 trim levels is identifiable by different upholstery and pops of color on its seats and dashboard. And lest we forget, the Veloster really has an asymmetrical layout that places one longer door for the driver's side plus a pair of stubbier apertures around the passenger side. The 2 rear seats could be accessed from either sides, but entering from your left requires funneling oneself with the narrow gap relating to the driver's seat as well as the door jamb like a regular two-door coupe. You'll either this way layout or else you won't, and you won't still find it on any competitor. Seriously, forget the door thing. Until the high-performance 275 horsepower Veloster N appears later this season, the Veloster Turbo is Hyundai's most focused performance machine. With its 201 horsepower turbocharged 1.6-liter inline-4 carried over in the old Veloster Turbo, firmed-up suspension, and available summer tires, it's a sort-of competitor to your Volkswagen GTI or perhaps the Honda Civic C. That the Veloster Turbo nearly matches those slightly larger, slightly pricier cars' specifications is classic Hyundai. We'll play along, to a degree, but we choose to think in the Turbo being a worthy successor towards the half-size down, soon-to-be Ford Fiesta Street. There is usually a base Veloster, which relies on a new Atkinson Cycle 2.0-liter engine with port fuel injection, sans turbo, to make 147 horsepower and 132 lb-ft of torque. We snagged simply a quick drive in this one, enough to view that while the modern engine is 15 horses and 12 lb-ft stronger as opposed to 1.6-liter it replaces, still it makes more racket than forward motion when pressed. The upside. The chassis is really as well tuned because turbos, as well as the 2 models look nearly identical. Plus, it's a great deal at $19,385, including forward collision warning, automated emergency braking, lane keeping assist, cruise control, 17-inch wheels, automatic headlights, plus a 7.0-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. A 6-speed automatic costs $1,000, and it's standard for the more richly equipped $23,635 2.0 Premium. Turbo FTW. The turbo lineup begins just $150 across the 2.0 Premium together with the $23,785 spec, which comes simply with a 6-speed manual transmission. As far as we're concerned, the lineup could end there, too. The simply named $26,285 turbo could be had that has a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, and even though you can order the loaded Turbo Ultimate which has a 6-speed manual, it'll cost $27,535. Equipping a Turbo Ultimate together with the DCT adds $1,500. For more where trim level gets what, watch our pricing breakdown on the Veloster lineup. Inside our book, the spec represents the strongest value. Every turbo's suspension has thicker anti-roll bars which is roughly 15% stiffer as opposed to base Velosters. The only stick-shift turbos we drove were specs, which get yourself a Tri-exclusive B&M short shifter kit. The setup's Honda-like shift quality is shockingly good, as well as the clutch pedal is springy and progressive using a clear take-up reason for the middle of its stroke. Recently, we declared the Accent Says manual transmission being the best Hyundai has ever offered. Transfer that title having a hat tip to B&M towards the Veloster spec now. The dual-clutch transmission is less beguiling. Its responses to manual gear selections are disappointingly slow whether you employ the steering wheel paddles or shift lever, as well as sometimes we caught the computer snoozing, leaving us without having a complete throttle blip to smooth a downshift. In automatic mode, it upshifts in need of redline most with the time to ride the turbo engine's fat wave of torque from the low and middle ranges. Although not terribly sporty, the protocol feels effective helping to avoid the shrill whooshing noises and softened thrust that occur close to the engine's redline. The Dyson sound effect isn't unique within this segment. Honda's Civic C is almost as with a lack of higher character, but Hyundai curiously augments it, digitally, over the turbo's audio speakers. Every Veloster has normal, sport, and in automatic transmission models adaptive smart driving modes. Inside the turbo, these represent different volume settings as well as changing the steering effort and throttle response. Fortunately, drivers can minimize or disconnect the digital exhaust note altogether through touchscreen. Handling, by Hyundai. Before our drive, Hyundai's second-in-command of product planning, Mike O'Brien, declared the Veloster chassis the top the automaker has ever made available to customers. No hyperbole there. Having traded its torsion beam rear axle and somewhat flexy body shell for the rear multi-link suspension shared with all the Elantra Sport models and also a stiff new structure, the Veloster is notably more refined and athletic than before, while using sharpest body charge of any Hyundai we've driven. Chassis response on curvy roads was sublime, plus the body never keeled over onto its outside front tire as countless front-drive cars do. The suspension maturely irons out even brutal bumps without transmitting booms or crashes over the body or allowing any float, wheel flutter, or harshness. The Veloster's attract enthusiasts could be stronger should the handling allowed it to rotate somewhat more aggressively in tight corners. A different rear anti-roll bar might coax out some friskiness and lift throttle oversteer that we found inside Ford Fiesta Street. As things sit, the Veloster's back nicely tucks in behind leading when standing about the firm, responsible brake pedal heading into a turn, however it stays determinedly planted. Stick-shift turbo models ride on Michelin Pilot Sport 4 summer tires that sink the Veloster's claws even deeper into your pavement. This serious rubber has more turn and bite as opposed to Nexen tires seen on automatic transmission turbos, even sneaking some road feel with the electrically boosted steering rack on the driver's hands. Every Veloster's steering is accurate, using a linear buildup of effort as cornering forces increase, a clear, crisp contrast for the previous models on center vagueness and odd surges and dips in steering effort. As a bonus, the Michelins are notably quieter compared to all seasons at speed. Hyundai has so reduced the Veloster's wind and road noise that it's very easy to pick out the Nexon's subpar oral signature. The skinny, laid-on thick. If you can discover to love the Veloster's silly door layout, it's a blaring deal compared to other sweet driving compact hatchbacks such as being the Mazda 3 plus the Honda Civic Sport. The turbo is often a blaring performance deal, along with the one we'd buy. In respect guys, the Veloster is really a mere $1,625 more versus the incredibly cramped Fiesta Street, although dealers are marking those down heavily as Ford winds down its car production. Hyundai undercuts the Honda Civic C by $1,210 or $1,410 to have and C with summer tires, along with the Volkswagen GTI by $3,480. That base GTI, incidentally, is simply $270 less costly compared to full-boat, manual transmission Veloster Turbo Ultimate. A Hyundai that's well-rounded, stylish, something, and satisfying they are driving. We're pretty sure it won't function as the last.